Welcome to the first episode of An Action. My name is Dr. D.
And my name is Nadia.
And I also call her Nadibu. So, yes, we're going to be reviewing a movie called With Love, Hazel by Bolaji Ogunmola, starring two A-list actors. One of them is Teniola Aledese.
And the other is the one and only Mr. Deyemi Okalawan.
Nadia, you call that man's name like
Deyemi.
Like Zadzi. No. But yes, let's go into the review. So in this movie, we have Teniola, who is playing Hazel. Hazel is basically presented as an unprofessional, lackluster, lackadaisical, promiscuous female who basically uses anything in pants for her pleasure and for her discardment. So,
and then we have Omari, played by Deyemi, who is a CEO and a single father.
So the movie gets into this rhythm of like Hazel, who is basically shitting on every job interview she goes to.
Every.
Not because she's like not intelligent, but because she just wants to. And she basically has sexual intercourse with anything walking in pants.
Yes.
And she meets this cutie who also happens to be her boss and also a successful CEO called Omari. And it becomes her lifelong mission to have this man laid.
To get him in bed.
Yes, this becomes like, what's his name? Joseph and Potiphar's wife.
She wanted a taste.
She wanted a taste of his, jigu jugu. But we'll not go there. So Bolaji basically goes into the themes, talking about different themes all throughout the movie.
Yes.
And we were able to pick up about 4. One of them was promiscuity. The other one was dating as a single parent.
And the other was work professionalism as well as communication in the terms of relationships.
Yeah. So one of the things that I noticed with Bolaji highlighting promiscuity was, for me personally, I don't think she really fleshed out that like part of the dialogue, right? We see basically Hazel being so promiscuous. She's like sleeping with men, not because of money or anything. But in the film, her friend basically highlights that, Hazel went through a traumatic experience. So as the viewers were sitting waiting to understand what that trauma experience is. And in my head, I'm like, what traumatic experience would make a woman so like, or even an individual? Because promiscuity is something that we don't tolerate, not for men.
It's a no-no.
Yes, and not for women either.
And we're sick and tired of community and our community making this a norm. It's not a norm. It's a no.
Yes. So Bolaji talks about that, but I personally feel like, and she didn't do a good job at really like telling us the reason for this level of promiscuity within a character. Second thing that she also talked about was about single parent dating. I think she really does a great job here. And some of our viewers or commenters will agree that one of the highlights of the movie was basically exploring some of the dynamics between Omari and his daughter, because she was a 15-year-old girl and she was just going through like the idea of like exploring her womanness.
Yes.
And she asks her father a lot of really great questions towards the end of the movie. One, like, why is it that we only tend to want to forgive people when they're experiencing a terminal disease and maybe at the end of their lives? Another question that we explore in the movie concerning single parent dating is the fact that she also talks about Deyemi basically talks to Hazel, telling her that if you cannot get your life together, how can I expect you to help me raise this young woman? So I like the fact that Bolaji posed such like thoughtful questions
and such daring questions
into this movie when it came to single parenthood. So I think she gets like an A+ for that. I'll let Nadibu talk about like workplace communication and professionalism because I don't want to even get into it.
So we see work professionalism come into play. So like we meet Hazel. When I mean there's no sense of professionalism, no sense. This is an educated young lady. She got her master's, but from that we can see she comes to work past the time that she's supposed to. When she goes for interviews, there's a sense of entitlement. When she goes to interviews, she's even still looking at like the boss's husband that came into the room. There's so many things, and that's just to teach us that as a community, that's not that's not right. We need to always hold ourselves accountable and hold ourselves with such a dignity, which we can see in this movie that Hazel did not have any. So I felt like our producer Bolaji really highlighted the no-nos of work professionalism and how to conduct yourself in a business setting. And also the biggest part with this whole movie, I would say, was communication.
Nadia, sorry to cut you off, but one of the things I want to also talk about with workplace professionalism was when, like, at some point in the movie, spoilers, if you don't want a spoiler, don't
watch this, please.
was when Hazel and Omari started having a relationship. Like the way Hazel, because Hazel was basically a personal assistant, and she had her role and function. And because she thought she was dating the boss, like it gave her special access in the office.
Yes.
So she really was going toe to toe with like her superior, because she thought she was fraternizing with the boss. And I think that personally, Omari handled the situation well, because he was trying to basically preserve the integrity of his personal relationship, but also preserving the relationship with his subordinates at work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Bolaji really did a fair dive into that aspect of the conversation. Where I think that workplace professionalism came for Hazel was that she never really danced to the tune of like exhibiting those such tendencies in the workplace, like coming late. Like before she quote unquote was dating Omari, she would show up late. She would like talk very rude to her boss. She was so entitled. She would dress like half naked. And I was like, if this is like, and then secondly, like I was telling Nadibu when we were watching, I was like, if this is like for me, America, and you come and kiss your boss in front of me, I am suing you for sexual harassment. I am suing you. Like there is no way that it will not be a lawsuit, because I find it very like sexually uncomfortable for somebody to have such sexual experience in front of somebody else. But Hazel was like, okay, that's fine. And just to point out what Nadia said, like, we already have these stereotypes about like Africans and like Black people, and that we have poor work ethics. So for me, highlighting this take was a good take, but it also would have been nice if we saw that Hazel develop more professionally.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, you can take over because
and also we also explored communication from the theme. I would say communication was very the big overall, because like we've said in the beginning, Hazel was basically, I'm the less prominent one, but she was basically a mini Ashawo. In fact, not even a mini, a very big Ashawo. And the cause of this, that she became one, just for us to ruin the story for you guys, was she was in a relationship previous to Omari. And since they were getting serious and they were, I believe the man proposed to her, she felt like the only way to get out of that relationship was to cheat. And she cheated, but they even stimulated to the wedding day. And that's when she finally left the guy on the altar. But you will see that there's a lack of communication, because if you feel like a situation is maybe you can't contain it, or if there is a misunderstanding in a relationship, as a person, you're supposed to be able to communicate, right? So we explore the theme of what is communication and how can we better communication. We also see communication being played out between Hazel and Omari. This movie, Bolaji produced, and I would say it lacked a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
Because we saw that there was no communication between these two couples, but at the end, we are witnessing them saying, I love you.
Like, what are you loving
there?
You meet a woman. First of all, like, to add to Nadia's point, is like, she was overly sexualized. Like, we need to stop acting like sexual chemistry just means sexual, like sex. Sexual chemistry comes from dialogue. It comes from understanding like somebody. It comes like when we see sexual chemistry being portrayed on screen, it doesn't always have to mean people are kissing. It can mean even in the way they lock their gaze, the way they swipe their hands against each other, the way they like carry themselves when their shoulders rub, or when the smiles they give to each other. It creates for a nice romantic sexual
and a warm
chemistry.
setting that even makes we the watchers want to dive into that love story, and even ourselves find our place in that love story. But throughout this whole movie, I can
it just felt like PG-18.
Yeah, there was no communication, because when Omari met this lady Hazel, and eventually they started having more communication. The part they were dating, there was no dialogue of who are you, Hazel?
Like, who are you? Like, what are you about? What do you care for?
And on Hazel's part, there was no dialogue on who are you, Omari, because, like we said, Omari is a very dense character. He's a single dad, but there was no.
There was not getting to know the layers of his life.
Yeah, or the layers of her life,
his wife before.
So that they could be able to understand why they do the things they do.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why I think that was, and since this is a romance movie, there was no excuse of why there was no dialogue. So please, our producers, take note for the future.
Yes.
To see communication being misplaced in the story between, we have Hazel and we have Omari's daughter, Soraya. So basically, when you're dating somebody, you get to know the person, you get to know all they're about. Hazel finally meets Soraya, and they form a relationship, quote unquote, because it really wasn't one. Because at the end of the day, I can say there was never a scene in the movie that I could stand 10 toes and say this was a proper communication between a girlfriend
and a future
girlfriend and a future stepdaughter.
Yeah.
There was no form of that. There was no form of, I think, Soraya really trusting in Hazel to open up her whole heart. I think even in the movie, we had a scene where we had Soraya crying about
her boyfriend
issue, and how the boyfriend was
asking for sex.
And in the movie at that time, Hazel would just
she just like, but mind you, she was supposed to be a mother. Right, yes. You're supposed to event, because at that point she was already falling in love with Omari.
Yes.
So she could see herself being with them. But I think, like, if a young 15-year-old child is coming to you to say, like, oh my God, I just got dumped by my boyfriend because I refused to have sex. And then she contemplates, or maybe I should have just done it. Like, as an adult female, you should be able to dialogue a child through that experience.
Yes.
And if you possibly think, oh my God, it's not my place, I was just here for one day to babysit. Maybe that's something that when her father eventually comes down,
speak, but
that was something that you prioritize. But you see, the first thing she was trying to do was chew his bones down with a kiss. And that also takes us back to this idea of, like, dating as a single parent.
Yes.
It becomes very different, because you're not just looking now at yourself. You're looking at the other human being in the picture, who's your child. So there was, to me, Bolaji, like, yes, she did a great job exploring the connection between Omari and his daughter, but she did a very poor job of establishing the relationship between Soraya and Hazel. And especially when down the line in the movie, when Hazel will be apologizing, she will be bringing up how much she loves Soraya.
She's even fast forwarding.
I call bull on that. Like, excuse my French.
Yes.
Because I'm like, how do you say you love somebody when you have never even, you don't know them? You don't have an experience of them, because every time you were in that house, you never actually got to know the child.
You only got to know the father.
And she wasn't getting to know the father.
Not even
they were just having sex and kissing. Because I feel like we have truly reduced our standards of Nigerian movies to just like sexual stuff. And I definitely agree with Nadia. This movie needed so much dialogue. I think it would have been a great plot if these two people would truly understand one another.
Yes.
And really talk about why Hazel was doing some of the things that she did. I also talk about Omari's love life, because at the end of the movie, they bring about how the fact that he's hard to forgive. And I think Soraya brings it up to her dad. Why is it that you're so hard? Exactly.
When mommy died, the mom and him, before the mom died, Omari and his late wife, they got into an argument, and they argued, and his ex-wife kept saying, I'm sorry, but he didn't forgive her until later on she found out that the wife had a terminal disease. And that's when Soraya pointed out that was the most loving I have ever seen you with my mom. And that also makes you puzzle, like, so what was that relationship like?
About,
right? From what we also, to give you guys some backstory on Omari started dating his ex-wife at a very young age, I think in their teens. Then they got married at the age of 20. So to some extent, Omari too is very new to the idea of love, right? So it's understandable why he felt so hard for Hazel so quickly. But also, it's also important that when we're falling in love and when we're dating, we ask the hard questions.
Yes.
And that's what in this generation we are really failing to do, right? And that's what these movies, they keep brainwashing us, because the movies at the end of the day become our reality.
Yeah.
Because we tune in so much into them, because we're supporting our own, that we forget that this,
yes, at the end of the day, I'm supposed to learn something from
them. And this movie, I think some of the teachable acts that Bolaji could have really hit the audience with and made the audience really reflect on their own lives.
Yeah.
That's where I think she really failed.
Yeah, because she wanted to create sexual tension. I don't want us to dwell too much on the themes, because we'll be going into like, oh my God, it sounds like we already give the pros and cons. But
yes,
for me, one of the pros to really tie in a very good note, I think the actors did a phenomenal job.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't know how like the Nigerian movie industry works. Like if they give you this like storylines and you build on it, or you're really allowed to amend characters and work with the director to bring the vision to life. But one thing that I will say is that the actors did a phenomenal job. Hazel was annoying. And I was so annoyed by her from the start of the movie to the end of the movie. So if like, you know, somebody is good, if after you watch them play a role, you're still mad at them. Like, I'm still mad at Teniola for that Hazel role. Because I'm like, what? I felt like her role was to me, she was more of an antagonist than a protagonist. Because she kept hurting people who loved her.
Yes.
Like you see her like leave somebody at the altar. And then the beginning of the movie is like, trauma. The whole time I'm like, oh my God, is it that a man betrayed her? But I was
the
like,
backstory, just to give backstory on the trauma, the backstory was like we said,
she left somebody at the altar.
The man at the altar.
And she was cheating on him.
And after that, she just became that Assyria, I don't know, Assyria Shawo, Assyria.
Yeah, no, but she had always been that. Yeah. Like, it's a movie, in the relationship, she was always that.
Yeah.
Right? And then she kept using, I didn't love him, as a justification for hurting him. Like, when did that become a trauma experience? Like, please, you should help me clarify.
Yeah,
like, when did it become traumatic? That somebody loves you
and you don't know how to love them back,
and then you decide to cheat on them. Like, I thought
trauma, guys.
It was supposed to be Omari's best friend talking about him having a trauma experience.
And that was the plot twist. That was the plot twist.
I'm like, what? Bolaji, you folded this girl's hand.
The man she left at the altar was Omari's closest and best friend. And that's even why in the movie we said they have a breakup, because we see that the guy's name is Alex. Alex comes and Alex sees the girl and he's like, this is not a girl.
This is not good. This is not good people. Okay.
You know, and that's facts. And because of that, that's when I feel like that really was the only thing that made Omari step back and analyze this girl's character. Because from then, that's when he asked her that, how can you become a good role model
for my daughter? Yes.
If this is how you handle situations. Because this girl was a gunner. Have you ever heard the song, She's a Gunner, She's a Track Star? That was basically what she was a runner, and she ran away from all her problems. And we can see that it didn't benefit her in any good way, and she didn't even learn the biggest thing.
Yes, that Bolaji did not learn. Bolaji auntie, look, see, all of us will have made mistakes in this life. All of us will make mistakes in this life.
Yes.
But what makes us good people is not the fact that we'll not make mistakes. It's our ability to reflect.
Yes.
You see, when Hazel made this mistake, this is how she came to apologize to Omari. I was about to have sex with another guy and I couldn't. That's how I know. Like, excuse me.
Couldn't, and I love you.
And I love you.
And like, that was the proclamation.
I'm like, first of all, how is that an apology? That you're telling a man who loves you, that you guys just broke up a few days ago, that you're going on to the next person. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing as a society?
Yeah.
There have become a lot of things that we have normalized. That is not like, this is not normal. Like, and then secondly, this is what she says. You know, the whole time she's like, I've apologized to Alex. But you realize in the movie that everything she's doing is not out of her own reflective mind. She has a friend who is basically saying, just do this. And she just works at the directive of the friend. Sometimes reflection is not just about doing the action. It's about the thought process that forces you to do that action. Because if she would have reflected, she would know that, okay, this thing that I did, how have I grown from it by meeting Omari? Now that I'm in love, how do I feel when somebody I love will hurt me like this?
Yes.
So in that state of reflection, you're able now to devise ways to fix the habits that you have used to cause trauma in the lives of people. Why am I passionate about this? Because there are a lot of women who are walking on the streets that you are hurting people's brothers and sons. And now you people will be the same women in your lifetime that will say men are scum.
Vice versa.
Every man that was a scum, I can bet you was hurt by a woman. Even, I'm telling you, people like to say men are scum, but I tell you, behind every scum, there's a Jezebel. There is a Jezebelian spirit. And Hazel reflected herself as one.
Yes.
Because she was not reflective. And then secondly, she was more passionate about getting with Omari than actually healing herself.
Yes.
Because one question Omari was not asking is like, her sister, how about all these STDs? I met you and I'm sleeping with you after how many weeks?
How many,
Like, what about all those STDs that you have carried from all these men that you have dating? Like, come on, directors.
Yes.
Let us start asking the hard questions. Because I feel like these movies actually shape the realities that we live in. When you see a lot of promiscuity, it's because movies like this, they actually justify why you should be doing ashawo behavior.
And that's why I want to.
not a good
that's
thing.
why I really want to.
It's not good at all.
That's why I really want to even highlight that. Even if she did go on a healing journey, I think it was on the producers and the director to really display that journey, which they did not. Because even when she came now to have the conversation with Alex, it switched to the next thing.
They didn't even allow the conversation to be seen.
Yeah,
but that was so crucial.
Yes, and that was very crucial.
Oh my God.
We need to see her reflection. We need to understand really the why, because the why she gave us did not make sense. And we needed to really see how that relationship can impact both Alex and Omari. Because we watchers, let's take a minute and really sit back. Imagine your best friend, your best friend, right? You guys are best friends, and then your best friend starts dating your ex. The ex now hurts you so bad. Wouldn't that put a dent in your friendship? It will. And I felt like that was something that we're supposed to highlight in this movie.
Yes.
Right? But it was brushed so, like, they brushed it so fast. And that's why I would really give a critique just saying, when we add details into a story, we need to be able to follow through.
I agree.
Those details.
Okay.
And that is where this movie, I think, once again, went downhill for me. And I was so mad. Because, like I said, when you have a platform,
was so mad.
When you have a platform like this to touch so many important lessons in our society. We're seeing friendships, we're seeing father and daughter relationships, we're seeing relationships between man and woman after such maybe a very dark past, and you just brush it up with a kiss.
Yeah, it's
not
like,
every time you must
yeah.
not every time.
Yes, it's like kissing is not healing hands.
Yeah,
like come on. And thank you, Nadia, for highlighting. And some people will be in the comments like, oh my God, the sexual chemistry. Trust me, if you're horny, like deal with it. But we're not here on screen to be doing pornography.
Don't deal with it.
To be honest, when I was watching this movie, let me be very frank with you. When we watch certain romance movies, right? What kicks off a romantic experience is not the sexual experience. It is the journey that leads up to that sexual experience. That's why there's some movies that people don't even need to kiss. Like, watch those Korean dramas, sister. Those K-dramas. Like, look, they don't even kiss, but your body is hot. You're like, wow. Like, you see love portrayed. Sometimes a man just gives you something as simple as a forehead kiss, and it means the world, because you have seen those people, their lives, their character has been developed to intertwine and to entangle with each other. For me, if I was Bolaji, the way I would have directed this movie, because people do not ask me, but I will tell you anyways, the way I would have directed this movie, I will actually make that Omari will not have sex with Hazel.
Yes,
he will actually stop her, because one, he's a father to a girl child. So he will not want, and he's not any man over-sexualizing his daughter. Yes. So he would not over-sexualize Hazel.
And I think,
secondly, he already add on to that. Let me finish my
Let me add on to this point, because I want to go to a different point. Yes. And I think him not having sex with her would have also brought in a different action and feeling from her, because now that she has been almost sleeping with somebody with multiple people for the past almost 3 years, to some extent all she knows
it's just sex.
It's just sex. So it would have been different if he was a breath of fresh air, but instead he was a breath of fresh.
Yes. So that was my point. So yeah, so it would, and then secondly, he was a man that had already been married. I'm not saying that he's not sexualized, but he understands what love and marriage is about.
Yes.
And then he's a man who had walked through his wife in a state of illness. So he understands the sacrifice of love. So he would have almost been taking Hazel on this journey of what it means to understand true love. That true love is not just about sex. It's about standing with your partner.
Sacrifice.
10 toes down. Because now you will see multiple men. Trust me, you'll be moving on the street with Hazel. One more be like, these are babes. I don't know. He'll be like, you know what? I stand 10 toes deep with her because I love her.
And
now
because
you see
her past is not her.
The love becomes sacrificial.
Oh Lord,
you guys should not make Dr. D to preach.
In the point that is doing her like
Hallelujah in the building. But no, but you see, that's what I'm saying. Now he's basically teaching and evolving this woman to understand the depth of love beyond a sexual experience. You get this beyond a physical experience. And then thirdly, what I would have also done as Bolaji is that, they should have explored this relationship between Alex and Omari for them to really have this man-to-man conversation. Because this is one thing.
Bro to bro.
Our society, right? Men are always allowed to have as much sexual experience as possible. I would have not changed an inch of Hazel's character. I'll still make her promiscuous. Because now what we are seeing in society is this friction that, if men are doing it, why can women not do it? Mm-hmm. But when have men ever been the standard for any moral character? They are not. They are not. So just because men do it doesn't make it right. So even because women do it, they will not make it right.
It should not be right.
So they should have instead explore this relationship now between Omari and Alex. Yeah. How as men they would have this conversation that I'm about to marry a woman who hurt you and help that healing process, So for me, that would have been the sacrifice of the love. Yes. And it would have evolved Hazel into a deeper understanding of love. Not as she knew it, but now as deep as Omari has experienced and is willing to bring to her. And that's why when you meet a man, you have met a man. A real man will show you how to love.
She has met a man, me I've not met.
A real man. Let me tell you, a real man will humble you. You will love JJ. It will not just be sex. It's not always about sex. Sex is just the physical, but
yes.
Bolaji, you could have done better. Bolaji, call us.
The one thing I would say as we almost round up, right? For my own thing that I would have twisted if the movie was to go exactly like this, I would have said, Omari, let her go.
Hey, Nadia.
One thing I would tell the people,
Nadia,
it's okay to love and let go. Because if it's really love, trust me, will come back.
That's okay.
It might not come back, but sometimes it will come back. He's there to let go. Because him letting go means that he put himself first, he put his friend first, and also most importantly, he put his daughter. Yeah. Because this woman, no matter how we want to sugar it, and say there was a body, there was a figure eight, she was not a woman that can lead any other young individual to finding self, because she herself was lost.
And she never found it.
And she never found it. Shout out to all the best friends who are taking rubbish from their friends and giving them advice like this. End it, please. End it, because it was that best friend that kept giving her advice, but that best friend has nothing like her in character, and that's her to say that two birds of the feather flock together. But in this case, it's always true. Guys, tell us in the comments. But I would say, Omari, let that girl go.
Let Hazel go.
And it was a good teaching experience in love and what he should look for in his journey of maybe finding the next partner. Because it's okay for him to move on. His wife has died and he's still a young man. And whoever is out there that is single, it's okay for you to move on. But be careful who you choose. Yeah. Because this girl, I will emphasize, she did not find her sex. She did not find herself.
No, Hazel, you are bad. Hazel, you are bad.
If I see,
no.
But yes.
So with that being said, Let us know if you agree with our feedback. Please comment, like, subscribe. See, our feedback is very contrary to what we're seeing in the comments, but that's what we're here. Because people like to watch these Nigerian movies, sugarcoat the truth. Nobody is giving deep analysis. That's what we are here. We would tear open, scratch your movie. But the point is that we want to produce movies that are reflective of our society. And we also want to shout out some comments that really stood out to us, because we cannot end episode. We have Kelly Gobedeka 7337, who basically talked about the most memorable aspect of the film being Soraya's conversation with her dad, and really exploring that theme where we only want to forgive people when they're at the end of life. I think to me, that was a very beautiful.
When we're just about to lose them.
Yes, Soraya did a very great job. Like,
shout out Soraya, that little girl.
Yes, we need to see more of her in the movie.
Yes.
And then somebody said, this Hazel, who is Sham? Guy, we don't even know this girl. Somebody say Hazel is so seductive. If that's your cup of tea, good for you. That was Sarah Peterson 5384. She said Hazel is so seductive, but it looks like that's her cup of tea.
But yes,
but a lot of people actually enjoyed the movie.
But we need to bring this
perspective. Remember, we're not here to be the status quo and be like everybody else. We're here to deep. Let's go.
You might not like us. Write us. You might not like us, but we love you.
Yes, keep showing up. Keep showing up.
But also, guys, tune in to Bolaji.
Yes.
Because she has made other wonderful movies. Trust me. So this is With Love, Hazel. You guys should please watch.
Develop your own analysis.
Run those numbers up, because at the end of the day, we are supporting one another. But also, Sister Bolaji and Auntie Bolaji, please, we love you. This, like we said, we're not coming from a place of hating what we as a community were putting out there, but one that we should be the change, right? Yeah. We should not like there's someone that we enjoy American all these movies, and we want to enjoy our own like that, and break out of these negative stereotypes that we ourselves have placed in our societies. So that's why we are here. Do not hate us. Keep supporting us. Like, comment, subscribe.
And once again, thank you for tuning into